On this Fanmail Friday, you asked, who should take the lead on this team? I'm looking at you, Mike Trout. It's time. And it's time to get locked on with Mike and John. And this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And the best way to help us out is by giving us a rate and a review. And those watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed and click that bell to be notified every time a new episode drops. And today's show is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB or enter our promo code LockedOnMLB for a free water bottle with any order. You don't want to take these Bird Dogs off. They're that comfortable.
Hey, thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John. And Johnny, I just want you to know, I appreciate the fireside chats with Mike on Locked On Angels, but it's so much better with you on the show. I just want you to know.
I apologize for the power going out on Sunday. I apologize for doing something else besides watching the Angels on Wednesday night.
Don't apologize. Going to see the Counting Crows and Dashboard was a brilliant idea.
And I did it on Game Time, too. I know they're not sponsoring today's show, but Game Time, a great sponsor. So
heck yeah.
Get some concert tickets on Game Time instead of Angel tickets.
Heck yeah.
Hey, listen, we know that they played the Guardians last night, and of course, we're going to recap that entire series on Monday. Mike and I like to make sure we have enough time for Fanmail Friday on Fridays. And we'll recap games 1 through 4, Thursday through Sunday on Monday for you. So if you're looking for what happened in the Guardians game last night, well, we'll have that for you on Monday. In the meantime, Mike, let's go to our first voicemail of the day because it is Fanmail Friday. This one comes from, hey, somebody who lives near me, Ken in Pasadena.
Hey, guys, Ken from Pasadena, and I'm just tired of seeing the Angels losing all the time. Just a couple of comments. I really agree with you about the team desperately needing leadership. I don't understand why someone hasn't sat down Rendon and said, look, don't be a jerk. And, just sit him down and say, if you don't want to say anything, just don't say anything. You don't need any of this snark like no habla inglés and all that kind of stuff. Or at least give a short answer. We know you don't like to talk to the media. I wonder about Neto. I love him. I think he's great. Great player, great attitude, and I think he's got the potential to be a leader, but he can't carry it by himself. Maybe O'Hoppe can tag team with him or join the leadership with him. I don't understand Trout as a leader. I've never seen him much as a leader. Maybe he does it in a quiet way, but I don't ever recall seeing him holding anybody on the team accountable. I think it's great Nevin had a team meeting to try and do something, but he just came out with the same answers. Everybody's trying hard. It'll be okay. We just get some bad breaks. I think what he really needs to do is have a no-holds-barred meeting. Anybody can say anything, with no repercussions, and just tell the media, hey, what gets said behind closed doors needs to stay behind closed doors. We got a lot to do, and we're going to work it out. Love what you guys are doing, and I don't know what to think about the rest of this season. Bye.
Ken in Pasadena, thanks for your voicemail, my friend. Mike, I feel like he just is lamenting everything that you and I and all Angel fans have felt all season long, especially regarding Rendon, who hit off a tee, by the way, yesterday and ran on a treadmill. So good job, Tiny. Great job getting out there, and really glad that you're getting back out there.
Yeah.
But I love a lot of what Ken had to say. But what's with the lack of leadership and accountability on this team? He talked about Phil Nevin in the meeting, and it was just kind of the same answers. What's up with that?
Ken should be the manager. That's what I took away from that phone call.
Yes.
Great stuff. Great wisdom, Ken. Listen, I really appreciated the connection to like Mike Trout and being the quiet leader. But he can't be the quiet leader anymore, Johnny.
No.
He's got to be the vocal leader. And when he gets in front of the media, it's tough. And yeah, it's hard and those types of things. And I get that he is who he is. But I think behind closed doors, I think this guy's got to be a vocal leader. He's got to be the hype guy. He's got to stir up. Or if he's not going to be that guy, then he has to go and find other guys to help him or to take the lead. And I think that that's where Logan O'Hoppe and Zach Neto can actually really step up. They're guys that you can build a culture around. You can build a team around. And I think Mike Trout is the perfect guy to take them under his wing. I even think that somebody like Mickey Moniak could be the fire starter for this team, right? I talked about Zach Neto on yesterday's show, and I think he might be the straw that stirs the drink. I know it's a small sample size, but perhaps it's Moniak and O'Hoppe and Neto that can actually be that. And I think Mike Trout can fire them up. And the reason why I threw O'Hoppe in there, Johnny, is because did you see 2 nights ago, he's sitting in the dugout and he's just watching everything. It's similar to what Zach Neto did last year, just watching everything. I think Neto did it this year as well. And just disappointed in how this team has performed. And what it showed us is that there's a deep desire to win and they actually care. And I think that the pitchers on this team actually really respect Logan O'Hoppe. We saw it at the beginning of the year when Shohei wanted him to actually be the catcher that would go out there on opening day and would catch him. And so I think that Mike Trout needs to do what those guys before him did for him. I'm talking about like the Torrey Hunters and the Albert Pujolses, right? I know they came up around the same time or came in around the same time, Albert and Mike, but I think that those leaders that came onto this team need to do the same thing that they need to do for Trout, and Trout needs to actually do that. I'll get my words right. Trout needs to actually do that for these young guys on this team because they need a leader. They need somebody to inspire them. They need somebody to invite them to the table. And Trout has all the authority. He is the angel guy right now. He's Mr. Angel. And so it's time for him to step up and be the leader. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I totally agree with you. And I feel like I have a theory on what is going on with Mike Trout. And I like to call it this. I've brought it up on this show before, but I like to call it little brother syndrome, Mike. And this isn't your fault. It's just purely psychological. But you and I played softball together in a church league, and it was a blast. We had so much fun. I learned how to play better during that time. I never was very good unless you weren't playing with me. Then I would make diving catches in the outfield and I'd be hitting triples and all of these things. And for some reason, something in my brain like let me calm down and let loose because you weren't there. And again, you didn't do anything. It was just like, oh, my big brother's here. I gotta do well. I gotta perform. I don't know what was going on in my head, but when other people asked me to sub on their team, I'd crush it.
I remember that too, because you would end up being like the MVP of the game. And we're like, where's that John for our team? Come on.
and here's why I bring that up. I think when Mike Trout got there, this has been going on his whole career. He got there. Torrey Hunter was the leader, took him under his wing. Great. Trout's a rookie. That's fine. And then Albert Pujols was the leader. And then Justin Upton is the leader because he's the veteran. And now Mike Moustakas, who's only been there since June, seems to be doing more in that locker room for the young guys than Trout's done this entire time. And someone needs to tell Mike Trout, you can't be the quiet leader anymore. Mike, we want you in the room because you're not like everybody else. We have enough voices who often say the same things or do the same stuff. You're different, Mike. We want you at the table and we want you in the room and we want you to help these young guys along, whether you're hurt or not. Doesn't matter if he's playing on the field or not. He can still be a mentor to Mickey Moniak and Zach Neto and O'Hoppe. Those guys probably are dying to sit at the at the feet of Mike Trout, right? Who wouldn't want that? And Mike Trout, he can't be like Jon Snow on Game of Thrones and say, "I don't want it," because that's he didn't want the throne. And I think Mike Trout needs the throne, and I think that he deserves the throne. So step up and sit in the Iron Throne, Mike, and be the leader that you're supposed to be. And mentioning what Ken brought up in his voicemail, they need to establish a locker room culture, and Mike Trout needs to be part of that process because Rendon can't behave the way that he's been behaving. Whether he likes Sam Blum or not is neither here nor there. We just need some answers, and nobody got the answers about Rendon being on a treadmill or hitting off of a tee yesterday. From him, it was just, hey, this is happening. We saw it. But it's not just a bad look for Rendon. It's a bad look for the whole team. The coaching, the leadership, the management, all of that. It reflects poorly on a poorly run organization. And you have the most humble, awesome, signs every autograph for all the kids guy on your team, who's also a future Hall of Famer and a 3-time MVP on your team. Put him to good use. Mike Trout, this is your team. Step up
Yep.
and be the leader that this team needs. That's what I have to say about this.
Johnny, this last week, I had a former staff member who is a part of our organization still at the church that reached out. We were talking about something, and they said something in a text message that like stirred me up. They actually repeated something that they heard when they served on our team, and they said it to somebody else. It was kind of in essence of like, that's an unfamiliar interaction that I've had. Here's the interactions I've had. You should perhaps talk to that person. And it was very much what we've talked about. Like, we publicly praise, we privately critique. And Anthony Rendon is not doing that. And Anthony Rendon hasn't adopted the Mike Trout way forward. Anthony Rendon is actually the antithesis of that. And if Trout is a good leader, then whether the people are close to him or maybe a few layers removed from him, they're going to adopt his culture, much to what I've experienced this week with that former staff member. They adopted our culture because it's healthy, because it's good. And with Rendon acting the way that he's acting, it is completely different than who Mike Trout is. And Mike Trout needs to take who he is and infuse it into this team, especially if this team rebuilds. I know the narrative is like, well, they can't because they don't want to waste Mike Trout. No, they should. They should rebuild, and they should start with Mike Trout being the leader of that, because if you get Mike Trout, his heart, his soul, his energy into the hearts and souls of these other players, these young guys, I think this team actually will look like the teams of the early 2000s. They'll be fired up, ready to go, wanting to win, loving the fans, supportive of the culture. I get it's an Artie Moreno thing, but if Artie's going to be there, then I think that you got to look to the people that can actually make change. And I think Mike Trout, you're the guy, and it's time to make change.
Yes, infuse Mike Trout. Infuse that locker room. All right, the Angels are playing the Guardians again tonight at 6:38 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, should the Halos go young? And if so, who are the young guys? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a minute.
Today's show is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs is a great clothing company that is all about your comfort, whether you want pants or shorts. You're going to look good and feel good. Bird Dogs has stretch khaki shorts, for example. I put these on, and my 43-year-old dad bod was so comfortable inside of these stretch khaki shorts, Johnny. In fact, we just got a delivery from Bird Dogs recently, and I got shorts that I can wear out, and I got shorts that I can wear in the pool, and they're so comfortable and so convenient. And so when I put them on, I was able to go out and hang out. I can actually work in the yard if I want to, or I can go out to a restaurant and have fun with friends. And then the shorts that I put on to go swim in the pool were comfortable. Even when they were wet, I didn't look like I had a 43-year-old dad bod. Like, I was comfortable inside of that, and everybody was comfortable around me, or at least that's what they told me. So check out birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB to get yourself a pair of pants and shorts. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. When you get there, you can enter our promo code LockedOnMLB, and they'll give you a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. Again, birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, or use our promo code LockedOnMLB for that free water bottle. You're not going to want to take your Bird Dogs off. They're that comfortable.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Locked On Everydayers, we're here so you don't have to watch the games. We're here for you. Don't forget that we're recapping the entire Guardian series on Monday, so we know a game happened last night, and you're probably here wondering, why aren't they talking about the game? Well, it's Fanmail Friday. We got to get to your questions. Your questions are way more interesting than anything the Angels could be doing right now. Yes. The Angels are playing the Guardians again tonight, 6:38 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. Mike, we had some great questions about the offseason, and Charlie Hess on Twitter said, what do you think the Angels offseason will really transpire like? What's that going to look like once the offseason comes, whether that's Artie and the team, Ohtani, moves that they make? What do you think, Mike?
I think that what we saw this last offseason is probably what we'll see again from Perry Manassian this next offseason. I was surprised by some of the trades, but I think the trades were actually really good. I was really surprised by some of his signings, but I think the signings were really good. The trade for Renfroe, I actually really liked, even though he wasn't great for us and hasn't actually been great for the Reds either. Sure. And I also like the Gio Urshela signing. I think that he was a great piece coming in. The Brandon Drury signing. And I wasn't mad about the Tyler Anderson signing. I know that he hasn't been who we hoped that he would be. And I think that that's what we'll see this next offseason, if they plan on going for it again. And I don't think that they would be delusional if they go for it again. I think that they actually have a young core that could help them get some really good wins and move forward. But I also think that they could fill in some good pieces. Johnny, what I would expect from the offseason is that the Angels actually move in the direction of pitching, because now it's a pitching issue. Last year, it was a depth issue and an offensive issue. The year before, it was a pitching issue. So Perry must be pulling his hair out, because he's tried to really solve the issues. And when he decided to solve it with depth, then a lot of injuries came in, and they didn't really fall off offensively. If you look at the stats, offensively, they're actually pretty good. I know there's the runners in scoring position issue, but now it's back to the pitching again. And I think what the Angels need is some pitching. So I would say that this offseason isn't going to be a complete dismantling of this team. I think we'll see some trades. I think we'll see some signings. I think that we'll actually be pleasantly surprised, and we'll anticipate and get excited about next season, not because we have this false hope, but I think that we'll actually look at this team and go, man, I really like what he did here, and I really like what he did there.
You don't think how does Ohtani figure into the mix here? Because I'm uncertain what the Angels do. I'm uncertain if they try to bring him back. There's a world where I think, well, you said it yesterday, Mike. Like the way you said it was funny, because it was like the Angels don't need Ohtani, and that's not to say that the Angels don't need Ohtani. It's that this is a team not worthy of Ohtani right now. So, bro, go ahead and take care of yourself and get the surgery or whatever procedure you need. And I kind of wonder if that goes into next year, Mike. I mean, having Ohtani back on this team as a hitter is certainly going to make the Angels better. I just don't know if they're in a place where, again, they're worthy of Ohtani. I can't figure out another word to say it. So I'm wondering what happens there. I wonder what happens with Artie Moreno and selling the team. I know the word from Mike DiGiovanna from LA Times was that 3 people have said he's not planning on selling. Yeah. The other part that I wonder about is, do we have to go and get more depth? And I think that kind of goes into the next question from Ramon. Why don't you read that one?
Yeah, he said, looking at our free agents next this offseason, Moustakas and Urshela in particular, is there any possibility the Angels want to re-sign them for next season? He personally thinks that it would be great, and he would love to see them in an Angels uniform next year. Johnny, what do you think about Moose, and what do you think about Gio?
Yeah, Gio was a big part of why the Angels had success, and that was mostly because he was just putting runners he was putting the ball in play and moving runners over, and he wasn't hitting for a lot of power, which again is like, how many of these like contact guys do you need on a team versus power guys? And I feel like we have a good balance of both, and I think that we're getting more and more good contact guys. I think Gio, I would bring back. I think I would bring back Moustakas, because he's been such an influential part of the team. Maybe he doesn't play every day. I mean, he's doing pretty good for playing every day right now, but at the same time, he'll be another year older next season, and I just kind of wonder if he might be a significant, like a bench piece. But at least having his presence around the locker room is good. That also kind of goes back to our conversation about Mike Trout. Like, Mike Trout needs to be in charge? Yeah. And I know that there's veterans, and Moustakas is respected. I wonder if Mike would just be like, oh, Moose got it. He's got it. I don't need anything. I don't want to see that. But again, I think that that both of those guys would serve the Angels well next season. I feel like there's unfinished business with Urshela because he got hurt, and it was such a bummer when he went down. How about this one, Mike? Ian Burns on Twitter. Hey, guys, I've been thinking a lot about this one lately. What if the Angels can get Garrett Cooper, have him platoon at first with Schanuel? Mike, tell us about Garrett Cooper. He's interesting. I think it's an interesting projection there. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a free agent in 2024. His OPS this season was 97, so 100 is an average OPS for players.
OPS plus.
OPS plus. Yes, sorry, OPS plus. That's so necessary. That plus is necessary, right?
Yep.
OPS plus was 97 this year. 95 with the Marlins. He's 109, Johnny, after his trade to the Padres.
Yeah.
If he platooned with Schanuel, I think it might be a good move depending on how Schanuel does against lefties. He's actually been hitting everybody and getting on base, right? Yeah. Here's the batting average against lefties, and this is for Garrett Cooper. And Cooper is hitting .333, that's his average, .375 on base, a .489 slugging, and an .864 OPS. He's a bit older, has a bit of a veteran presence that might bring this to the Angels. And I think in a platoon situation, he actually, I think, would really be a nice hand-to-glove fit if they don't want Schanuel hitting against lefties. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you need to see how Schanuel does against lefties and have a bigger sample size before you decide, we gotta platoon this guy. But look, Garrett Cooper off the bench or Garrett Cooper only in against lefties. I imagine that's why he's done so well with the Padres since moving over. I don't think it's a bad idea. Again, I think he's a little bit older, so it might not be a very long-term contract. But yeah, if that's a possibility in 2024, I think that the Angels could really go for it.
Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel, and you can get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel. They're America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers like you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Didn't realize that they're on YouTube now, so that's kind of convenient, kind of cool. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from the point spread to the player props and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you can kick off the NFL season with an offer that you don't want to miss. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL.
Mike, getting into our last 3 questions for Fanmail Friday. This next one comes from Jimmy on Twitter. He said, hey, more of a statement, but the Halos should go completely young next year. O'Hoppe, Schanuel, Neto, Rengifo, Moniak, Adele, they should all be starting. Maybe Kyron Paris and Jordan Adams off the bench. Lean on Trout, Ward, and Drury. Young starters, too. And then he listed the rotation is Canning, Detmer, Silseth, Sandoval, Sam Bachman. And my one caveat to going young, first of all, I think, yes, 100% let those young guys play because we have just been through it over and over and over again. Like, let these guys go out there and do their thing. That's my opinion on the matter. The one benefit, Mike, I think that the Angels have is that free agency this offseason is actually pretty decent in terms of starting pitchers and bullpen arms. There's Blake Snell, Aaron Nola, Kershaw, he's probably going back to the Dodgers. Sonny Gray is out there, Jordan Montgomery. Then in terms of relievers, Josh Hader, Will Smith, Ryan Stanek, Matt Moore, of course, who's with the Guardians. I would love to have him back next season. So I think we can agree that going young with this team is a good move because what do they have to lose at this point? Like, we're not doing the whole, we got to get Trout and Ohtani to the playoffs anymore. And this is me assuming that they don't get Ohtani back.
Right.
But again, worthiness. Is this team worthy and needing Ohtani back? So if they're not in that position, we're like, we really got to push. We got to get to the playoffs. Come let these young guys play and go out and get some starting arms because our starting arms took a step back this season. Let's be honest. A huge step back compared to where they were at the end of last year. A hugely disappointing season in terms of the starting rotation. I think that you have the chance to go out there and get some arms. What do you say?
Yeah, Jimmy says go young. I think it'd be great to go young, but I also think that it would be great to get a couple of arms. Again, that's been the issue, right? Aaron Nola is really intriguing, and I also like Sonny Gray. I think that both of those guys are intriguing. Blake Snell's always intriguing, but he is a lefty, and I think we're really left-handed strong.
I think he's going to be the #1 starter going
Yes.
in free agency too. So people are going to
Yes.
chomp at the bit to sign him for sure.
Yeah. The reason why I like Sonny Gray and Aaron Nola is I think that they actually bring some consistency and they're proven winners, right? There was a Locked On Everydayer that commented on our show a few days ago who said that they had a friend who was connected to Billy Epler. And when Billy Epler was still the GM, he was flying out to meet with Zach Wheeler. And then he said that his friend told him that Artie demanded that Epler come back and actually have a conversation with Anthony Rendon. Now, believe it if you want or not, but doesn't it just sound like Artie Moreno, right? And I looked at
I believe it.
And then I went and looked at Zach Wheeler's numbers and I was like, dear God, why didn't we sign that guy? You guys having a phenomenal year, which is why, again, I go back to Aaron Nola and I also love Sonny Gray. I think that they could be two really great additions to this team, and having these young hitters in that lineup, I think we could potentially see a team that goes out there and fights. I think that we're going to be still a maybe third wild card team. I don't think that we'll actually be any better because of those moves. I think that we're going to have to develop these guys and see what they do. But maybe they have breakout years, a full season with Logan O'Hoppe and Zach Neto. That'd be fantastic. And even a full season with Mickey Moniak, I think would be really fun to see.
I don't care if they get the third wild card spot or not. I just want to let's see what we have. Let these young guys play and let's move forward with those guys.
Good baseball. We want to watch good baseball.
Right, exactly. Hey, Jeffrey Leppelman on Twitter, he said, do the Angels have a third baseman in the minors? Instead of DFAing Rendon, maybe they could trade him and the Angels can take most of the contract. Mike, there's two guys that are officially listed as third base, and one of those is Felix Morabel. Now, he's only 17. Actually, no, he's actually listed as a shortstop. He's only 17, but he had a great season in the Dominican Summer League. He was number 50 on the international free agent pipeline when the Angels signed him. He's the kind of guy who plays the infield, but he's a shortstop in the sense that, like most guys who are listed as shortstop usually end up being at third or being at second. They don't stick at shortstop. When it comes to Morabel, he probably sticks at shortstop. He's that good. But because they have Zach Neto, maybe that could translate over to third base. The problem is he's 17. He's a few years away. He needs more time. Warner Blakely is one who is listed as a third baseman, the only one in the top 30 Angels prospects listed as a third baseman. Scouts are actually kind of thinking that he might do better in the outfield. His overall scouting grade, remember on that 20 to 80 scale, he's at a 40. His arm and run potential are at 50, and he's got a hit tool of 45 and power of 45. Doesn't sound like your prototypical third baseman, but they do say he has strong arm and decent footwork, but he has a tendency to let the game speed up on him. He struggled in high A this season after having a strong 2022 and then Inland Empire with the 66ers. But this year in high A, Tri-City, he hit 218, 321 on base, 655 OPS, 5 home runs, 28 RBIs, and 22 steals for Warner Blakely. So I just don't know that the Angels have their solution there. That's probably why a Moustakas or an Urshela coming back next season would be a good move.
Yeah. Next question, Johnny, off of Twitter from Davian. He said, any young players we should trade for that you think could be on the block next season? We're talking about all these young guys that are on the Angels. Johnny, are there other young guys that we should look for and try to trade for? Hey, maybe we can fool somebody and say, you take this veteran guy, Anthony Rendon, and he'll actually be great for your team. What do you think?
My opinion, Mike, I think the Angels just already have a lot of youth on their side as it stands. And like we've been talking about this whole segment, just let those guys play. I get that they might not go anywhere. I get that they might struggle. I get they might not get into the playoffs. But at least see what you have at this point and let them get some major league experience.
Yeah.
Let Mike Trout be the leader. Look, if the opportunity comes up where they can find somebody at third base and trade for them, maybe they don't have a spot on their roster, moving up from like double or triple A on that other team. But the thing is, the best possible third base prospects out there, they all kind of seem to figure into their team's plans, whether they stick at third or not. I was looking at the top prospects for third baseman, and it's like, well, this guy, he might stick at third, or he could be a left fielder, or he could, move to first base, or da-da-da. So even if there is somebody blocking them at third, it seems like these teams are going to want them around to try to put them in the outfield or somewhere else on the infield. That is all that to say, I just don't see anybody out there at the moment that the Angels would go for to trade for and bring back. I could be wrong. I mean, there's thousands of players out there. At the same time, I think we have who we have. And if they just put, instead of working the other way around, where you get a bunch of veterans like they did this year, and then they're like, oh, you know what? We need a young guy here and a young guy there. Do it the other way around.
Yeah.
Put the young guys out there and then say, you know what? We need a veteran here and we need a veteran there. Let's just go with that, because I would much rather watch that version of the team than a team trying and failing to get to the playoffs next season.
Yeah, I want to see a bunch of young guys try real hard, and if they don't get there, that's great, but they're a bunch of young guys with a lot of hope and a lot of potential, right? Not a bunch of old guys where you're like, man, I don't even know who's going to be on this team next season, right?
Exactly.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels play the Guardians at 6:38 Pacific time, and you can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, thanks for all your questions today. For Fanmail Friday, you can give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, what do we have on deck for Monday's show?
Can the Halos get a win and actually win a series, split the series. How about that?
How about
just
one
splitting
win?
the series? How about one win? How about that? We're going to talk about all 4 of the games against the Guardians on Monday. We're going to watch so you don't have to. So come and join us on Monday on Locked On Angels.
All right, friends. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here. Have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
Checking to see if Giolito's pitching because I would love to see our team just
he's
hammer
pitching.
him. Oh,
He's
great.
pitching.
Home runs coming or no hitter.